Next, on Currents News, history on the Hill, the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
It's being described as the safest school in America. One Catholic high school in Queens is taking extra precautions to prevent an active shooter. I'm Tim Harfman, and that story is coming up.
Also, The Two Popes is a fictional account of the relationship between Benedict and Francis, but is it believable? And the Irish tenors perform at the Spirit of Christmas concert, making the gift of education possible for Catholic students in the Brooklyn Diocese. The news starts right now.
Give them wisdom and discernment.
House Chaplain Jesuit Father Patrick Conroy praying for members of Congress as the day of impeachment arrives. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. Charges against President Trump are being debated on the House floor as we record this newscast. Votes on the two articles of impeachment, mostly along party lines, are expected later tonight. Karen Kafa reports from Capitol Hill.
Today we are here to defend democracy for the people.
Nearly 3 months after launching an impeachment inquiry, members of the House of Representatives are on the floor arguing both for and against a vote to impeach President Trump.
You see, it's also not a matter of process, which will be discussed today. It's a matter of actual facts. I will fight the facts all day long. Because what we found here today is a president who did not do as being charged.
President Trump faces two articles of impeachment, one alleging abuse of power by the president, another obstruction of Congress. The votes expected later today are likely to fall along party lines, with President Trump becoming just the third president ever to be impeached by the House. Democrats arguing they are defending the Constitution.
President Trump's behavior is exactly what our founders feared most. They knew that with the awesome power of the presidency came the risk of a president abusing that power for personal gain.
And Republicans asserting there is no evidence of wrongdoing.
I rise in opposition to impeaching the president. Unlike the Nixon and Clinton cases, there are no allegations that the president has committed a crime.
President Trump said when the House votes, he won't be watching.
This has been a total sham from the beginning.
The president has a rally in Battle Creek, Michigan tonight. On Capitol Hill, Karen Kafa, Currents News.
Despite all of this, there is some good news for President Trump tonight. A new USA Today, a Suffolk University poll finds the commander-in-chief leads all Democratic candidates in the 2020 race for the White House. According to the survey, Trump would beat former Vice President Joe Biden by 3 points, Senator Bernie Sanders by 5 points, and Senator Elizabeth Warren by 6 points. The top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, who was a key witness in the impeachment hearing, is stepping down. According to sources familiar with his plans, Bill Taylor will leave his post next month. He testified that the president told his appointees to offer a quid pro quo with Ukraine. Earlier this year, Taylor replaced Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch, who was recalled to Washington at the president's direction. The Pope's ambassador to France has resigned. Archbishop Luigi Ventura had been under investigation for sexual misconduct in France and in Canada. In announcing that the Holy Father accepted the resignation, the French nunciature said the 75-year-old prelate was stepping down for reasons of age. Archbishop Ventura has not commented on the abuse allegations against him. Boaters off the East Coast are being told to be on the lookout for a Russian spy ship. The U.S. Coast Guard says the ship has been operating in an unsafe manner, not using its lights in low visibility weather and not responding to signals from commercial ships, which are trying to avoid colliding with it.
It's absolutely purposeful. First of all, this is an intelligence ship, so it's not going to disclose its point of location to anybody.
The ship has apparently been prowling around the East Coast for years near some key U.S. Navy installations. Tonight, a mystery that's almost 100 years old is closer to being solved. Investigators in Tulsa, Oklahoma think they've discovered mass graves of African-American residents of the city who were killed during a deadly race riot in 1921. Researchers in Tulsa, using ground-penetrating radar to survey 2 sites, found what could be mass graves linked to the deadly race massacre in 1921.
Not only in these areas where we found likely mass graves here at Oaklawn, but also at the other areas that we likely have found possible graves.
Some say as many as 300 black people were killed and much of the neighborhood burned down after a black teenager was accused of assaulting a white woman nearly 100 years ago. At a meeting on Monday, scientists confirmed they discovered what appears to be an underground pit large enough for up to 100 bodies. Scientists are now planning to do additional surveys that could lead to excavations.
First is to develop a feasibility study for the sites where they feel like they have conclusive evidence that there is an anomaly in that soil. That feasibility study will point to legal and financial considerations as well as investigative considerations at those sites as we begin preparing for a possible excavation of those sites.
The official death toll after the riots was only 36, but experts have long believed that the number could be in the hundreds. There is video of the mugging and murder of a Barnard College freshman. 18-year-old Tessa Majors was killed last Wednesday in Morningside Park. The grainy surveillance video was described at a court hearing on Tuesday for one of her accused murderers, 13-year-old Zaire Davis. Police say he denies stabbing Majors, but admits to taking part in the robbery. Police are still looking for 2 other teens. It's being called the safest school in America. Monsignor McClancy Memorial High School in East Elmhurst is taking security to a whole new level to keep students safe. Current News' Tim Harfman has the story.
This isn't your typical classroom door. It's bulletproof, the difference between life and death if there's an active shooter.
This door was able to stop a 9mm, a .45, an AR-15, and a .308 round.
At Monsignor McClancy High School in East Elmhurst, Queens, they've been installed throughout the building as a safety precaution. Anthony Cipri, a retired NYPD detective and a graduate of McClancy, makes the doors.
This is the safest school in the United States of America.
This year, there have been at least 11 school shootings in the U.S. At least 6 people have been killed and 25 were wounded. Cipri says he got the idea after the Parkland Massacre, where a 19-year-old former student opened fire, killing 17 people in February 2018.
This door does not exist anywhere else in the United States. This door can be installed in any school, no matter how old the school is, with little to no construction.
The doors are made of steel and weigh 400 pounds. They're fire rated. If there is a fire, students have 45 minutes to escape. And the doors are also self-locking, so anytime a student or teacher leaves the classroom, they can't get back in. They have to knock and wait for someone to open the door for them. McClancy's president, Brother Joseph Rocco, stresses there are no threats against the school. He wants his 660 students to feel safe against gun violence.
They're very sensitive to that today. They're fearful sometimes traveling to school, on the trains, the buses. So when they come here, they want to have that sanctuary.
Students say although McClancy has security guards and surveillance cameras, they're relieved when they see the doors.
I feel like there's an added sense of security coming to school every day.
I know I'm safe, 100%.
The cost of a door ranges from $3,500 to $5,000, depending on the size and how many are being ordered.
It was a financial investment, but it's worth every penny.
Paying the price to protect students at all costs. In East Elmhurst, Queens, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
There's bad news about New York City's public schools and how kids are doing. In a new analysis out tonight on statewide test results, more than 140 public schools had at least one grade where more than 90% of students flunked. Math and English exams are given annually to kids in grades 3 to 8. In the Brooklyn Diocese, students attending Catholic academies significantly outperformed the public schools. Some new smokes are about to hit the market, and they have much less nicotine than your traditional cigarette. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the marketing of 2 new products called Moonlight and Moonlight Menthol. But while the FDA has given the go-ahead to market the cigarettes, it does not mean they're safe or FDA approved. And while fewer teens are smoking cigarettes, more and more of them are vaping marijuana. That's according to a study from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, which shows more than 1/5 of high school seniors reported having vaped vaped marijuana in the past year. And the percentage of teens who said they had vaped pot once or more over the last year essentially doubled during the past 2 years. There's a lot more news headed your way. What the United Nations is doing to recognize the contributions of migrants around the globe.
It's a Christmas concert that's back for its 20th year, but it's actually a revival of a Catholic education these people are here to see. I'm Jessica Easthope, and that's ahead.
And how does the new film, The Two Popes, represent the relationship between Benedict and Francis? We'll talk to the co-host of Net TV's Real Faith for the answer. Christmas magic on stage. No Rockettes or toy soldiers. Instead, the Irish tenors sang up a storm, a Spirit of Christmas concert to help kids attend Catholic schools. Jessica Easthope has more from the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Everyone knows the songs. And members of the audience let their Christmas joy be seen and heard. But the excitement surrounding the annual Spirit of Christmas concert goes far beyond the walls of the Brooklyn Academy of Music and into the halls of Catholic schools and academies across Brooklyn and Queens.
It gives them a great education, a great foundation to really achieve and to develop the skills and talents that God gave them to make a difference in this world.
Each year, the entirety of the concert's proceeds go to Futures in Education. The organization provides scholarships to help families afford tuition. This year, students from an international children's choir took the stage. And then the Irish tenors dazzled the audience with classic songs from their home country. Ahead of their show, Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio said a prayer to bless the performance and the mission of Futures in Education. Bishop DiMarzio says the concert is one of the many ways of raising money by getting the community involved.
We work very hard, and this is one of the ways that we have a little fun in trying to fundraise.
The people who are formed in Catholic schools, whether they're Catholic or not, are given a real sense of where they belong in the community, where they belong in the world, and how they have a responsibility to both better themselves as well as those around them.
Officials say, though it's hard to place a value on a Catholic education, the money raised will go towards scholarships for more than 150 students at Catholic schools and academies across Brooklyn and Queens. In Brooklyn, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Pope Francis was feeling the Christmas spirit as he arrived early to today's general audience, reminding the faithful that the holiday is now a week away. He invited them to prepare for Christ's birth by having a nativity in the home.
Quando noi facciamo il presepio a casa è come aprire la porta e entra Gesù. E fare concreta questa vicinanza, questo invito a Gesù perché venga nella nostra vita. Perché se Lui abita la nostra vita, la vita rinasce. E se la vita rinasce, è davvero Natale. Buon Natale a tutti.
Before he spoke, thousands of pilgrims sang Happy Birthday to the Holy Father, who turned 83 yesterday. Improving life for migrants is one of the strongest pillars of the Francis pontificate, and on this International Migrants Day, the United Nations is adding its voice to the Holy Fathers. The UN is urging countries to strengthen the safety and rights for all migrants. There are 272 million international migrants in the world today, and this day celebrates the difficulties that they have overcome. On this International Migrant Day, we are learning that a replica of a sculpture unveiled by Pope Francis earlier this year will be coming to America. The bronze statue depicts migrants throughout history on a boat with the Holy Family. It's called Angels Unawares, and it is in St. Peter's Square. The artist who created it told the Catholic News Agency it will be coming to cities around the country. Eventually, it will be permanently installed in a yet-to-be-disclosed location in the United States.
You must remember that you are not God. You're only human.
Streaming this Friday on Netflix, a new film much anticipated among people of faith, The Two Popes, follows a fictional relationship between soon-to-be retired Pope Benedict and soon-to-be succeeding Pope Francis. Though the film has garnered 4 Golden Globe nominations, some Catholic critics were torn. Joining me to talk about the movie is David DeSerto, Director of Programming at the Sheen Center for Thought and Culture and co-host of Net TV's Real Faith. Welcome, David. And first and foremost, have you had a chance to see the movie, and what's your take?
I did see it, and let's start off with the positives, because there are some things to admire about the film, underline some. It's, watching these two great actors, it's a masterclass in acting at the top of their game, and visually it's very impressive, particularly the way that they've recreated the Sistine Chapel, which is the backdrop against where much of this conversation takes place.
All right, now the film was inspired by true events, but the relationship is fictionalized. So let's take a moment to listen to the filmmaker's thoughts on that.
The whole film's a fiction because, but a fiction really based on very good and solid research and on facts. Everything they say on the film was taken from books or from interviews or from sermons that they had said at some point. So all their lines, they really said.
I do know that I have lots of friends who are lapsed Catholics who came to a screening with me in London and were confused by it because they found they were in tears at the end of it. And it made them think about everything they'd left and why would I be drawn back to the church?
So do you think this movie is Catholic friendly?
It really depends how you define that. I mean, some Catholic critics have said at least it does take Catholicism seriously, which it does. But I think the main contention is, yes, it's not a documentary. And since films began, there's been this creative tension between dramatic license and historical accuracy. Sometimes to create a narrative film, you have to play a little loose with the facts. But I think it comes down to, does a filmmaker really respect the integrity of the person they're depicting? And I think in this case, the answer is no. I would take some issue with what he's saying about every line in the film being based out of book. I have a real problem with that statement.
Okay, well, both of the actors, Jonathan Pryce and Anthony Hopkins, have received nominations for their performances as portraying both of the popes. But some say the movie doesn't accurately portray the two popes. And do you agree with that?
Well, it's funny. The filmmaker said that it was very well researched. I think the film actually contradicts some of the research. Anthony McCartan, who wrote the screenplay, had actually written a book called The Two Popes, which a lot of this information came out of. And one of the chapters in that book is called The Reluctant Pope, referring to Pope Benedict, whereas in this film, he's shown to almost be campaigning for the papacy. So it contradicts himself there. It also plays into those caricatures that sort of presents them as foils and theological adversaries, where I don't think either Pope Emeritus Benedict or our current Holy Father would really agree with that. But most important, I think, not only does it perpetuate the idea of the genial Francis versus the stodgy Benedict. Benedict only wanted really a life of academics and writing. And the idea that the Pope, who really kept it very close to the vest, I think he may have only told his brother that he was planning on stepping down, the idea that he would share that with Bishop Bergoglio and essentially name his successor, tap his own successor, is completely off the reservation.
All right. Well, do you recommend people watch this movie?
My co-host and colleague Stephen Gradanis said, quoting another film critic, said, often the more you know about a subject, the less you find films about that subject appealing. So I think Catholics who really know about the church will not find this very compelling, which is sad because a lot of people who don't know about the church are going to take this movie kind of as fact. I will just, sum everything up with Stephen's review, had the subtitle, Papal Bull.
I love it. David DeSerto, co-host of Real Faith, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Still to come on Currents News, Old St. Nick will be here in just a week, but there's still time if you want to make it a bright Christmas for families in need. We'll show you how. And the viral video that is touching hearts everywhere, the nurse and her patient singing "Oh Holy Night." There's still time to make sure that young Catholics can have a bright Christmas. The campaign launched during the Advent season helps parishes and organizations give gifts to kids whose families struggle during the holiday season. The Tablet's editor-in-chief, Jorge Dominguez, is here to give us an update on the campaign so far. And Jorge, you've received a special stack of letters recently. Was it an early Christmas gift?
It was an early Christmas gift. As always happens with the best gift, it was not intended for me, but I received it. You know, Mrs. Ray is a teacher, 4th grade teacher in Our Lady of Mercy Academy in Forest Hill. And for Advent, she asked her students, 4th graders, to collect some loose change for the Bright Christmas campaign. And they sent me, $100 for the campaign, $100 check, but a collection of letters. A letter from each kid explaining why they were doing this and why they wanted people to do it. And I mean, each letter is a Christmas present, really. They are explaining, we want you, the recipient of, because they're talking directly to the recipients of the funds, saying, we want you to have a Christmas. Nobody deserves to have a Christmas without a toy and without a family gathering. Please enjoy this money that we are sending you. They are so touching.
So nice, especially from children, right? And there's also a special article in this week's Tablet about a parish that's receiving money for this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is the best part of my job. It's the Bright Christmas campaign. This is a St. Clair parish. You have to go to St. Clair.
Yeah.
It's such an alive party. It's so vibrant. And they have a youth minister there. I am a fan of him, by the way.
I can tell.
Peter Damour. And Peter Damour usually asks us for help. And what they do with the money is they want all those kids, some kids from underprivileged families, to have a real Christmas party in the parish where they can really share all of their experience and they can really feel the spirit of Christmas. You have to read that article. It is a beautiful thing. And it tells our readers what we do really with their money. And they are going to be really happy when they read the story.
All right, good. Now tell the readers the viewers, how they can donate.
Well, if you want to donate, it's very simple. You just write a check to the Bright Christmas campaign and you send it to 1712 the 10th Avenue, Brooklyn, to the Tablet. Or we have a new method this year. You can go to our website, thetablet.org, and you click on donate to the Bright Christmas campaign and you can donate with your credit card.
All right, Jorge Dominguez, editor-in-chief of the Tablet. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. The Tablet needs your support to ensure that Catholic journalism will thrive well into the future. You can do so by purchasing the paper at your parish or by subscribing to the Tablet so it comes right to your mailbox. You'll save up to 55% by having it delivered to your home versus paying for it at church. So go to the website, thetablet.org/home55, or call 877-883-8356. And please check out one of the latest features in the Tablet, the Our Diocesan Family page. That's where you can send in photos of your family receiving certain sacraments, such as baptism, First Communion, confirmation, and marriage. For more information and to submit your pictures, go to thetablet.org/Our Diocesan Family. And finally tonight, a heartwarming Christmas moment. Grand Ole Opry guitarist Penn Pennington is in a Nashville hospital being treated for cancer. And after a hard day of chemo, his nurse Alex arrived at his bedside, and together they sang the classic song, "Oh Holy Night." Penn's daughter recorded their performance.
Oh, night, divine, oh, night, oh, night divine.
Wow. When Alex learned that Penn is a musician, she brought her guitar to work, and the resulting duet is now an internet sensation. And I can see why. That's one of my favorite songs.
It is, isn't it?
Beautiful. It gave you chills, right? All right, that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.